All right, episode 2 of the Ramblin' Man podcast. I am here with a friend of mine, Jesse Newsom. We'll go ahead and start this podcast with just a little bit about yourself, and take it away.
All right, so I met Max through CrossFit. I think I wore his shoes before I actually met him. Went for a run in them. And then, we just had conversations in the gym. I think it's pretty awesome that you started this podcast. I think it's pretty cool. You like to talk anyway, so that works. And you like to listen, which is pretty great as well there. Myself, I own a club swim team, so right now nothing's happening. I asked to be on it, and he said, let's do it. So I'm excited just to sit here and talk about whatever we're going to talk about.
All right, so I have a question for you, just because it's just something that I thought about. You're a very free-spirited person.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know, why are you like that? Is it just a way that you've always been? Is it a product of your upbringing? Just like the way that your parents are? What makes you Jesse?
Diving right in. Okay, so I, free-spirited, kind of do what I see, blow with the wind kind of way, but I guess, my mom, my parents, raised me that way. It's pretty much my upbringing. They fully invested anything that I was into. They helped me develop that, which was pretty awesome. If I said oh, that's interesting, they'd take me to something, and then Tap Dogs. I went and saw this Australian tap group, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I think I could do that. And next thing I know, I was enrolled in dance. Right, that lasted actually 4 years. Okay, drew the line at ballet. I was actually in ballet, but it was weird being in ballet, I guess, mainly because it was really strict, and I guess I'm a free spirit and I don't like the structure or whatnot. But I think that was fostered by my parents and my upbringing, and I think that's because they let me discover what I wanted to do and fully supported me doing it, which was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah.
My parents were kind of the same. I think I really have a love for music because of my dad. And even though I was pushed to play instruments. I played saxophone for a little while. My dad had a huge CD collection, all different types of music. So growing up, for me, music was always a big part because I would listen to music with my dad. I remember growing up and listening to different stuff. And I remember, because I liked music so much, my parents never had a problem with me going to concerts, even if it was screaming music or whatever. I remember actually I lied. My first concert was, it was a festival. It had Metallica, Limp Bizkit, Mudvayne.
Oh my gosh.
It was
How old were you? That had to be in the 90s.
Super young. Yeah, I was I was young. This was I don't remember. I always look up this T-shirt because I can't remember when it was exactly, but it was. I remember taking beach balls there with my cousin, my uncle, and my dad, and then we blew them up, and then you see them just flying around the stadium. And then the next concert I remember after that was one that I wanted to go to personally. They just took me to that one. I went to go see All American Rejects when I was, I think I was it was the year I was going to be a 6th grader. So I got a shirt and I thought I would look cool because I went to go see All American Rejects. I had a piercing. I was yeah, what's up? But I always just remember that music was always then I wanted to play something. I always tried to play guitar. When I was younger, you had kind of to learn to dedicate time to get better at things. I didn't play sports really. When I was younger, I played soccer, but I was like playing with bugs and flowers, and they were like, all right, we're not going to put you in soccer. So they took me out of sports, and I was a homebody. So later on, like, I wanted to play an instrument, but I didn't really know how to, like, practice. I didn't really care to practice. So I played saxophone in middle school.
I played saxophone too.
But after middle school, I didn't play any instruments. But my dad pushed me to. I watched a documentary about Latin jazz with him, and I was like, man, saxophone's a cool instrument. And he was like, if you want to play it, like, I can get you one, and you could play it in band. I was like, sure. So I did that. So like music's always been like kind of the same ideas. Like especially with my dad, was like something that he always was really open with me about. That I don't know, like till this day, music's like a really big part of my life.
I will say, that is where I rebelled against my parents' music. So I was not able to go to a concert other than the rodeo until I was out of the house.
So they're Texans.
So, oh, hell yeah, dude. Like, whew. So I've seen Garth Brooks. I can't even tell you how many times. I've seen Brooks and Dunn, Reba McEntire, Leanne Rimes, who's that guy with the mullet, that not Travis Tritt. I've seen Travis Tritt. I think I've seen Tracy Chapman, although I wouldn't really call her country. But my dad loved Tracy Chapman. He still does. But yeah, my first concert was actually Taking Back Sunday, out on my own. So Taking Back Sunday, Jimmy Eat World, I want to say it was somebody else, and that was in like 2004. I was 18. Yeah, first concert that wasn't country or a bar band, right? And from there, I kind of went nuts, I guess. Like I started going to festivals a whole lot. Got in the jam band scene. I knew who the Grateful Dead were. Probably in high school, maybe a little bit growing up, because my neighbor was always blasting music out. I actually remember like the announcement of Jerry Garcia passing on Rock 101 KOLL. That's a station that's not around anymore. So that was like 95. So it was like, I remember that. I didn't know the significance of it, but now it's kind of like, I would say it's significant because I listened to the Dead a whole lot, and I've seen the Dead. It was with Warren Haynes was playing lead. Seen Dead and Company too, but those bands I fell in love with, other than like the pop bands, mainly because you get different genres or from one band, which is pretty awesome, and you get like how they talk to each other musically. So some people are like Fish is to me that's like on the edge of the spectrum. Same with like, I love Disco Biscuits, but sometimes their like jams get like, where were they at? You know, where was I at? But like it just starts sounding like you're at a zoo because it's like squonky, you know? But yeah, that's one thing that was different. I guess my parents were straight up country. We couldn't go anything else, like no concerts at all. So 2004, I started going out, branching out. Now, I did listen to other music growing up, and I was able to play music. Like I still have guitar. I still try to play guitar. I try to play mandolin. I find it relaxing to have a musical instrument in my hand. And just knowing like the scales or like trying to understand the fretboard is like mental gymnastics for me. So I feel like it keeps my mind fresh. And this would be a plug for Fender Play right now. They're offering like 3 months free. so you can sign up for 3 months of Fender Play. It's really nice if you're like starting to learn. Like they teach you how just to play like one note, and it's really basic. And I think it's a pretty good starting point for virtual lessons there. But yeah, that's pretty cool that you were able to go to those different concerts, those harder concerts. That to me like blows my mind, mainly because it was just like rodeo for me, you know.
My parents were both different. My mom would allow me to do some things, and my dad wouldn't. My dad was more open about certain things that my mom wasn't. My mom wasn't a big fan of the heavy music. My dad was actually part of the reason why I started listening to more heavier music. Mm-hmm. He was always a fan of Metallica and stuff like that. And then, I was in middle school and me and my uncle, who's only 2 years older than me, started looking at some other bands. And, Metallica doesn't really scream. They were more like yelling. Then you start listening a little bit heavier. They start screaming. And you're like, well, I can get past the screaming. Mm-hmm. But really, the moment that changed for me to like it the most was, I know a lot of people don't like the music, but the concerts themselves are just a different type of energy.
Oh yeah, like vibe, man, right?
It's I just remember the first like super heavy concert we went to was a festival that they had. If I recall correctly, it was a Thrash and Burn tour, and there was like maybe like 15 bands playing, or 12 bands or something, mm-hmm. 12 or 15. I remember the first band we came in, they were playing. They were like some like hardcore band. I wasn't really a big fan of it, so I was like, oh, whatever. They were like finishing their set. Then this next band came out, and that's when my mind was blown, because this band came out. They were called Motionless in White. They were so batshit crazy on stage, and all they had was an EP, and they played like really heavy, like screaming, but the lead guy was like crazy as hell. And I remember like they had a lot of different, it was kind of like if Marilyn Manson was like super heavy. Okay. Because that's what the lead guy was like. And the music had a lot of like synths in it, and then like all of a sudden there's like a breakdown and the whole room is shaking, and you're like, holy shit, like what's going on? Like, and then there's moshing. And even though like I didn't really like that stuff, like just being like in that energy, it was like the energy was like more than you could ever imagine. And you're like, wow, this is cool. Like, I don't know, it's hard to explain like the type of energy, because it's like they have to have that energy to get people like into it in the first place.
Oh yeah. And with the energies and stuff like that, like that you get into like metaphysical kind of stuff where you have like magneticism of a human being, right? Mm-hmm. Like you get that feeling like you walk into a room, and let's say your parents just got done arguing. You walk into the room and it's like awkward, mm-hmm. right? So like you kind of feed off that energy. It's like, okay, and like sometimes you're oblivious to it maybe, or sometimes like you're able to overcome it, but like going to a show, and I think everybody's there to have a good time and hype and listen to this band, like that's like the best part of live music. Not only the vibrations you feel from the music, that's just something else, but like being there with people, they're happy they're there, you're happy they're there, and then everybody's just having a good time. And then as that music starts rolling to its peak, everybody's like getting into it, and you just start feeling different, feeling the crowd, and then there's like a sweet release in there, right? So that's so awesome.
I think of it more as an experience.
Yeah,
like really that's what a concert is. Like the more I go to the shows and stuff, and people have this idea, it was like, well, I don't really like this band, or who would I want to see live? It's like, the thing is, there's a big difference of like seeing a band that you really enjoy, and even like a band or like a group. Like one concert I always remember that was really good is like, it's small. It wasn't a big venue. It was like White Oak in the top room, so it's like maybe 100 people, and it was Jameson. He's like an R&B kind of like a weird genre. he kind of started like The Weeknd originally.
Okay.
And then as he progressed through his albums, he started making more like live band stuff. And now he's like really like kind of like soulful, like funky, like R&B-ish. And like his concert was fantastic. Live band, it's like intimate setting, and you can really feel his music, and you're like, man, this is like, how can I not vibe with this?
Yeah. Oh,
So it's like, even if like you're not a fan of the music, you go there and it's like the whole energy, the vibe, the experience, and then you can't help but be like, man, that was pretty cool. Like, I like that.
Oh yeah.
Like, so the whole thing with that one concert, like, that's what started me down the rabbit hole with heavy music. Because it was like, after that, I was like, man, like, I like everything about it, Like, I was never, like, a popular person or anything like that. And I always liked weird stuff. So, like, to me, like, I fit into the crowd of, like, people like that. So I, wore band tees and skinny jeans and stuff like that. But, like, over time, I still like the same music. I just don't really, like, have that scene. I still like going to shows and stuff.
Oh yeah.
I definitely like still appreciate music a lot, and like it made me realize like not just metal concerts are really good, but like any concert, if the people are really good, especially a live band, because that really conveys that energy that you want to feel.
Would you take your daughter to
100%?
Awesome, dude. So I take I've gotten to take Stella to string cheese shows. We take her to concerts as well, but I try to take her to like everything I can, right? And I think that's awesome. There are some. My friends went to a heavy show, and I cannot remember what it was called, but they were kind of like, they brought their kids, and like some people were making like snide comments. Like, it's like, dude, like I can understand a younger person be like, why would you bring a kid here? But like, I guess as I got old, like as I'm getting older, like, hey, this is something I want to experience with my family now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I think there might have been a time where I was like, why would you bring a kid to a festival? Why would you bring a kid to this show? But at the same time, like, as I've matured, it's like, man, you should have your family there with you. Like, I think that people are able to bring kids to a show and, show them that at an early age. I think that's like great family time too. I don't think, like, sometimes it's hard to make it through the whole show though, but hey, when the kid's ready to go, the kid's ready to go, right?
I think it's about leaving. It's like something that I think about to myself about. I think it's really important to me when it comes to like raising my daughter, is like helping her set an example for her, like leading by example, and also like making sure that she experiences stuff that might interest her later on in life.
Yeah.
Like maybe she likes instruments. Maybe she wants to play guitar or something like that. That's something I want her to be able to see and experience, and then maybe eventually try. But also, respecting, or also having the opportunity to go to a concert and then be like, this is something I like. And if she, I would never be like, hey, we're going to go watch, I don't know, some crazy Behemoth live or something like that. Like, and you have no choice. I would never do that. But if she was like, hey, you always listen to whatever band, I really like their music, why don't we, like, I want to see them. I was like, sure, let's do it. Like, I would hope that she would, I want to be in a position where she would like to do that with me.
Right.
Where she's like, oh yeah, I want to go see whatever, you want to go, like, let's go together or whatever. That would be ultimately my goal, is where it's something that she could suggest. It's like,
right.
No matter what it is. It could be Ariana Grande. I don't care.
You have to listen to, what were we talking about earlier? You have to listen to Hot Dog right now.
Mickey Mouse.
Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. You got to listen to that right now. Later on, she's got to listen to some Behemoth. Who knows? Right.
But yeah, I mean, I know that you always like, you said you play guitar, so I know that, and I know that you like the string cheese.
The string cheese
incident.
Oh
yeah. I've heard some Grateful Dead before. I am not familiar with any of those bands.
Yeah, it's so the problem, I don't know if it's just because like I'm getting stuck in some ways. I've tried to branch out to, like, finding new music has been difficult as I've gotten older.
I agree, but what I do is I just go to old stuff.
Yeah.
I you don't know how many times that I listened to like live videos of Bootsy Collins and like all these like funk bands and stuff like that, and like I just watch them live and I'm like, man, this is good music.
Yes, some of that, dude. There's so many artists out there that have like one hit wonders that have so much stuff on like YouTube now, where it's like, oh man, this is like really good. How does it just like one hit wonder back in the day, you know? Or how have they not made it into any kind of mainstream, you know, setting? So, like, it's really weird. Yeah, like, let's see, the newest band that I've listened to, or I don't even count them as like a band, like it's a group, like duo group, Run the Jewels. Like, that's like probably or besides Lizzo or something like that, that would probably be like the newest stuff, you know? And, you know, I got into hip hop for a long time. That was like old, like I wouldn't even call it old school. It might be old school hip hop now, but like where it was A Tribe Called Quest, Della Funky Homo Sapien, and then you got like, of course, you know, Wu-Tang, and you get into there's a group, it was the Humpty Dance, you know, Houston rap, you know, you start going through all these different versions of rap to see what you like as well, like the poetry, what they're talking about, East Coast, West Coast, South, you know, the dirty South, whatever they want to have. And then you have people like remixing, and then like I haven't heard for me, I think for me, where I fell off with the hip hop too is like around probably like 2014 I started like, okay, you know, but I totally don't remember where I was going with that, but I liked all like getting into the different beats. I found out that I was like a secret obsessed fan with Timbaland, because he produced a lot of
really good hits,
lot of good hits.
Yeah.
It's like, dang, how did I not know that I love this guy?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of producers too. When it comes to music, that's like my preference. Is like, that's why I've always been a big Kanye fan, barring people what their opinion on him is. I don't care what people's opinion of him is. You don't have to like the man to agree that he makes good music.
Good music, yes.
And the thing about him that makes him really good is that he produces a lot of it himself.
Yeah.
So as an artist, he's a true artist. He's making the music himself. A lot of rappers just get the beat and then rap over it. It's like, you know, anybody can write it for you and you just rap. You're just the voice. So, you know, I have a really big spot in my heart for rap and hip hop. So, I mean, I know all about what you're talking about, you know, but the thing is, it's crazy, is I think we live in a time where there's so much accessibility that people that are really talented and otherwise really good are really overlooked, because you have so much music and so much stuff that's like really pushed on us through like pop and stuff like that. It's almost like genres have been taken over by pop because everything kind of just melds into the pop. Because it's almost like what you have to make money. You lose people like Jameson, who's fantastic. Like, I highly suggest that you check him out. But
check him out.
You know, like, there's a lot of really good artists like that come out now. Like, there's still hip hop to this day. It's just you have to look for it, and it's not as well known.
Oh yeah.
You know, there's like, you know, Conway, West Side Gun, and like those guys. Those are like real hip hop, and the beats sound just like old school. You know, and they're, you know, there's like a flow to it, and, you know, they're saying stuff. They're not just, you know, hooks and stuff like that. That's just on repeat.
The club, it's like club rap.
Yeah.
Right.
And I still like some of that stuff. Some of it is good because
it gets you hyped sometimes.
Yeah. So it just depends on my mood. Sometimes I want to listen to 3 6 Mafia and get a little wild. Sometimes I want to listen to something that's a little more chill. But my music taste is all over the place in general, just because it just depends on what my mood is.
Yeah.
What I'm feeling. I tend to listen to kind of how I'm feeling, which is weird. You would think that would be a bad thing, but it helps me think as well. But yeah, music to this day is a really big part of me. I wish that I played an instrument.
Dude, take that Fender Play thing up. There's so much stuff on YouTube. And I think, so learning is really hard, right? Unless you have some gifted talent somewhere, learning is really hard. And that's coaching. That's something that is hard to explain, and kids want to, coaching swimming. So kids want to, take off and race. And some people want to take off and shred, right? But it's do you know, you need to practice slow and make sure you can hit those notes and then speed it up. Do it with that metronome, right?
My problem is when I play, I'll play for a little bit and I'll start trying to learn something. Then my hand starts to cramp in holding the different notes and stuff, and I'm man, I just don't have it in me.
You're probably pressing down too hard and probably need to stretch, maybe do some little hand stretches or something. But you don't have to hold that string down so hard when you play. So I don't know, that could be one thing. What you're talking about, I want to go back to what you're talking about, pop, how pop is taking over. So Mayer, he plays with a Dead and Company now, right? So this guy, if you listen to him with his pop hits, Your Body's a Wonderland and all that good stuff, it's super poppy. But if you listen to his records are just bluesy, phenomenal. There's some standards in there now, right? So you find these pop people, and this goes back to those one-hit wonders. You find these pop people, but then you delve into their catalogs, and it's holy cow, this is some real chops and stuff. Now some people aren't like some bands aren't like that, but there's a lot of good solo people or bands out there that are like that. Now when it comes to the Dead and Company stuff, I think that was a good pull to bring Mayer in and play with him, maybe get a younger crowd or a different crowd. But he is a great player.
No, he's fantastic.
So yeah, just pop is pop. It's easy to sell. It's easy to listen to. It's quick. But then you get those people that just bust out. I would even say I don't know much about Lizzo. My wife listens to Lizzo a lot. I know that what's that? I can't even think right now for a song, but she has come out and women's movement, empowerment. I want to say almost opposite end of the spectrum of Cardi B, right? She makes you feel empowered through being yourself, right? And then Cardi B is gangster rap for chicks almost. I feel and gangster yeah, I would say gangster rap if you're gonna talk like a man and be a woman too, and that's another double standard. I'm trying not to say double standard and bag myself into a ditch, but that's kind of what it is,
Yeah, I guess, no, I get what you're saying, but also, I think that some of these people want to do some good stuff. I think Cardi B thinks of herself as doing good things and stuff like that. the thing is, like, it's easier to sell stuff that's, her background and stuff like that. She says those stuff because it's, like, how she, like, came up.
Yeah.
So it's, like, it begs the question, like, are you mad at somebody for making money even if they aren't really like that? You know what I mean? So it's, like, but then again, I don't know. I don't have insight into her life.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I do see how it's like a double standard because like the representation of what they mean.
Mm-hmm.
Even like Lizzo, like the stuff she talks about and stuff. It is like accepting yourself and being happy with yourself, like, and stuff like that. I know that Cardi B like has said that she wants to be like more active. She said vote for Bernie Sanders and stuff like that. But like you also have to be conscious about like what do you have experience in saying like you should be like why are you giving insight on who to vote on when like you're not an expert? You know what I mean? It's like people's opinions. Like we shouldn't be looking to entertainment people for opinions.
Yeah.
It's like it's a slippery slope because like those people don't have a grasp on, they might have like been poor at one point or something like that, but some of them haven't. Some of people lived lives that don't have a lot of insight in like what's the best for everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just that's like a slippery slope. Is like opinions from entertainment people in general.
Yeah, and that's like I told you earlier. Like I think that falls in line. Like being a coach. It's hard to talk publicly about like my private thoughts because I don't like if my kids like it's weird to think that you have like this swaying power, but if my kids like end up listening and they're like, oh well, Coach Jesse said this or whatnot, it's like, well, that's in a context and that's like my opinion for that much, and I'm not a professional on any of this stuff. So like people that are like, oh well, like Cardi B says this, I'm gonna do it. Like it's like, well, why? That's what she thinks. What do you think on that? So
I mean that's the whole slippery thing about people that are influencers. Like those are influencers that they make an impression on people that don't know better. Mm-hmm. So like they have a big pool of people that they influence in general, and a lot of these people are impressionable. Like it's easy for you to sway their mind to think a certain way without any rhyme or reason.
That blows my mind, by the way, that social media has been just influencers, I guess, like the uprising of like influencers that aren't like media heads or something like that.
I mean, it's crazy if you think about how much power they really have.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Like to think that Joe Rogan's podcast has such an impact in general, like on anything, that he has so many people that listen that one thing that he says could influence potentially an election because you're talking about millions of people.
Yeah. Well, all those people like. Same with like on the more right side or whatever, like Bill O'Reilly, Rush Limbaugh, Alex Jones and his little world, and on that lefter side, I guess like Jordan Peterson too. Although that like hopefully that dude comes out okay, but I heard he was like in some kind of crazy coma or something like that, right?
I don't know.
So, like the pop up of like the podcasts. The Instagram influence and stuff like that, all that is just it blows my mind because it's so quick how I feel like it happened too.
It is, and like I hate to start going down like a rabbit hole because I feel like this will always happen, but it's just stuff that, especially like being in quarantine in this setting, you can't help but like think about like what's going on. I feel like this whole thing is pretty, like, I hate to talk about this because it's going on, but because it's like all that everybody talks about.
Yeah.
But it seems like this is forcing people to be more it's almost like if people were people that were thinking about conspiracies and stuff, this is like the opposite of what you want. Yes, there's people that are distracted, but a lot of people can only watch so much Netflix before they're walking outside and like wondering like what's going on. Like then they start asking questions. Like,
Yeah.
What's going on? Like what is really going on? And you know, Joe said something the other day on his podcast that made me really like think like how technology has taken over our lives. Then I started watching a documentary on Ted Kaczynski. And
is that the one on Hulu or no the Netflix Unabomber Truth or whatever it is?
It was like Unabomber in his own words.
In his own words, yeah.
I started watching that, and then I'm like, you know, the thing is like it's crazy. Like it is fast how it happens, but he said Joe was saying like, what if like this is how AI takes over? And like I was thinking that to myself, like authentically, like it is crazy because everybody is just so wrapped up in their phones, and you know, social media really is a lie. I am not a very big social media person myself. I comment from time to time, but I'm not like a big poster anymore. I used to post a little bit, but to me, it's like very ingenuine, like not real, because like people portray themselves a certain way. There's a lot of people posting their opinions like it really matters.
Oh yeah.
And that comes back to like influencers voicing their opinion when who cares what you think? Like, and like this is not to be like insensitive, but like even your opinion, my opinion, who gives a fuck what I think?
Oh yeah, no, like
if you're gonna think that my opinion it really matters and that you're gonna take my opinion, you need to think for yourself. Like, I mean, there's stuff that I it's my opinion for a reason because this is what I think, but like people shouldn't take people's opinion so heavily unless it's someone who's an expert.
Yeah.
Like
I would say that like I take things with a grain of salt, and like I have a horrible problem. So my screen time usage between my my phone and my tablet has gone up like 500%. I went from 1 hour a day to 5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and I'm trying to cut back, but it's hard to do because I would say that like some of it's meetings, some of it's emails, but for the most part, I'll start going down a rabbit hole, dude. Like somebody will say something or I'll see an article, and my problem is I don't trust anybody when they say something. Like it's like, can you show me where you saw that so I can see? And if I read something, I'm gonna have to read 5 different articles on it, and I will try and find the source. Like I'll be like, okay, who cites this? Where is this at?
That's good though.
And, yeah, but it's kind of not, because my wife is like, what are you doing? You know, why are you looking at this?
I'm bad because I start reading. I start reading about stuff. The other day, I don't know why. Okay, I'm not trying to be one of those people that thinks that I will keep what I believe out of this for now. But let me just say that I don't know what I saw, but I saw something about the Podesta emails. Something pop up. I don't remember what I saw. Okay. And Pizzagate and all that, right?
Okay.
And while I don't know my opinion on it, like I don't know that it's true or not true, but I spent like 2 or 3 hours, I swear on my life, going through those emails and looking up stuff, like trying to look for myself, because like that's the thing I've challenged myself to more and more is like, you know, I could take like what someone's saying, like, oh, it's bull crap, you know, that they're pedophiles and it's code words in the emails, and like I could, you know, believe what the left is saying about it, that it's not true, or I could look into it myself and read the emails and like see what came out and make my own opinion about it.
Yeah.
Does it seem weird? It does seem weird, but there's no proof. Like, where's the proof? You know, like, and stuff like that. Like, instead of just taking the opinion from somebody else, like, oh, it's not true, blah, blah, blah. And I would do the same thing with, like, something that was, like, what had to do with, like, the right. You know, like, if someone said something about Trump, you know, oh, Trump was a piece of shit because he said this and that. I like to go watch the full context of what he said.
Oh, yeah.
And normally, I walk away, like, thinking, like, he didn't really say anything that awful.
Yeah, except I will say Monday. Did you watch that?
I did
on
not.
Monday?
I didn't see
my God, that was just if whoever wants to have about an hour and a half of like just some crazy stuff and be like, what is happening right now? Like Monday's press conference was like off, pretty crazy up until Pence came on, and then it was like toned down, but like. From the beginning montage of like his little plea to media or whatever to that one lady who was just like grilling him on questions to like just interrupting. I guess he's been interrupted. This is the first one I watched, but people were saying that was normal, where they'd ask a question to like Muchin or whatever his name is, and he'd just be like, "We're not we've answered that, or whatever." You know, that's what I wanted. Like, it's like, oh, so this is, wow, okay. So, like, I'm not saying to me, it was just crazy how it all unfolded. You know, it was I think it's entertainment for the most part.
I think he's funny.
Yeah, at the root of it, I think it's like crazy entertainment, and I'm perplexed. But at the same time, like, the one thing that I do take away from it is when he did say that he wasn't responsible as a leader, like as a business owner, like, and he wants to run things as a business. All I'm saying is, if I said I wasn't responsible, or this isn't my fault, or like I'm gonna lead, but I'm not responsible for that, like, bro, like on this. You're kind of, you have to accept some form of responsibility or not mention it, you know, because if it was me as running a company, I'd either lose membership or I'd be out, you know, so that's that on that. But I think that researching a topic is actually a very good thing, because you come back, like, just regurgitating somebody's opinion I don't think it's that healthy, and I think it's like the bad game of telephone, and like researching it to a point, or like looking at different sources is a healthier way to look at it, even though it might take a lot more of your screen time up.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, I'm not a Trump supporter. My opinion on Trump is that he's not as bad as people make him out to be, even if you, like, look, the dude is an asshole. Like, he's got an ego, like, okay, do I think he's an evil person? Do I think he's racist? No. Do I think that he uses people that are racist to help him be president? Yes. Does that make him racist? I don't know. You know, you can make these rules. Well, if you enable racist, and you're racist in itself. Like, yeah, but I mean, yes. I also think that he has a character flaw. Well, he'll do anything to win.
I think so. And
he'll even disregard, you know, maybe doing something wrong for that. But my opinion is, I am not Democrat or Republican. I like some things from both. Like, I don't like Hillary. I don't like Joe. I honestly used to kind of like Obama a little bit as a person. And then when he endorsed Joe, I kind of lost some respect for him because of that. Because I think Joe is a joke. He's honestly a joke. And I don't know, like, I just don't trust anybody in politics.
Yeah.
Like, I think they're all, you know, con men in their own way. They're all getting paid by somebody. They're all in on this big game. And they all point the finger at other people. And I think that's why Donald gets a lot of flack, because he's really not owned by anybody. And he does play it by his own rules. And because that, even Republicans are like, this guy is bad, blah, blah, blah. Because he's not playing by the rules. He's doing whatever the hell he wants. Which is a good thing and a bad thing. Depends on how you want to look at it. You know? I think the people that like Trump are fanatics and extremists. By far.
Yeah.
You know, anybody that excuses people's behavior in general without rhyme or reason, that's bad.
Yeah.
But Democrats are guilty of the same thing.
I think the polarizing landscape of politics to like tribalism, like it's like us versus them, or this is my tribe. Like it's you can do it like a sport too. My team versus your team, right? And that plays well with, I think, how America is involved in things. Like football is huge in America. Like team sports are actually huge in America, I'll say. Because they can get behind their team. They can get behind their squad. I mean, you have people like some of the people, Texans, they love the Texans, but then they'll like, is it O'Brien? I don't know.
Yeah.
So I don't really pay attention to sports, but they're pissed at O'Brien, making bad trades or whatever he's doing. So,
I get what you're saying, but the thing is, like, people illusion themselves that they have the answer. I think that we also have been, if you really think that the media is out for our best interest, you're fooling yourself.
Oh, no.
And I think they feed us a lot of crap to make us think a certain way when inevitably the truth is like the solution is in compromise. It's almost like the reason why there was two parties was so there's no extreme. And then with the two parties, you would come to a compromise between the two, right? But it doesn't work like that.
Mm-hmm.
If the one party doesn't get what they're wanting entirely, then they're going to gridlock the other people.
Yeah.
And vice versa. And then it just becomes, slinging shit at each other. Like, oh, you did this, but you did that. When they're both guilty of many things in general. And I was thinking about this the other day too, is like what solutions for government and stuff like that. And, I was thinking about football. You have two teams that agree to play the game. They know the rules. But guess what? I was thinking about this because I was thinking about like the CIA and like all these other agencies that are part of the government. I was like, there should be an agency that is unbiased, not part of the government, that are the refs, because that's how sports work.
Yeah.
You have two teams that are agreeing to play the game. They know the rules, and they're agreeing to obey the rules by playing the game. But you still have refs who know the rules and are the ones to enforce the rules as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And they basically make sure that everybody's being honest. So I feel like it should be the same way.
I think that was covered through like checks and balances, but I don't think so much anymore. And I think like oversight committees would be a big thing for that too, but again, I don't think so much anymore. And I think like lobbying has
I think there's a couple things that for sure should be gone. Lobbying
Yeah.
should be gone. I think politicians should be treated like everyday people. If they break the law, they go to jail.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean Trump should go to jail? Probably. Does it mean Hillary should go to jail? Probably. Does it mean that a lot of politicians should go to jail? Probably.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? If they went to jail, people would not make the same mistake. The problem is that they're treated higher than the law.
Oh yeah.
Same thing with like I was talking to somebody, everybody talks about, like someone was working for airlines or worked with airlines, all these airlines need a bailout. For what? They were irresponsible business people.
Oh man. I forget his name. It's like starts with a P, maybe M. He's on like MSNBC. He's a money manager or something like that. He was talking about like just let him fail.
Yeah.
Just let him fail. The dude has a TED Talk apparently. I haven't listened to it, and I cannot remember his name.
I saw that too, actually. And yeah, the reporter was shocked. He's like, why would you let it? He's like, the thing is like what I read about was ultimately the companies that make the planes wouldn't go out of business.
Yeah.
So what would happen is these airlines would go out of business and another company would just start. Like someone who would learn from the mistakes of these companies.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem is like people are so scared. Like the government is so scared to let things fail because they don't know what's going to happen.
Well, I'd love to, 2008, I was graduating college or whatever. I didn't have any money, and I wish I had money. I was in a good position buying a house in 2009. But like when that recession hit, like I know a lot of people lost out on the stock market. I'd love to buy it. I don't think we're going to get the same opportunity for stock market hitting a low, mainly because they've pumped trillions of dollars. They bought some debt of the stock market, right? Mm-hmm. And what you saw was you saw it start to go into a valley or down, and then all of a sudden it's coming back up, and it's either coming back up or staying stable.
Yeah.
And
I heard the market's crazy right now,
dude.
It's defying like the rules.
Yes, like there's a subreddit, Wall Street Bets. It's like it's not serious,
but
it's not serious, yeah. Right? And I love that. I love that subreddit because like the memes coming out of it right now are just fantastic. Two, everybody's like lost their ass. Right? And they're like, how much have you lost? Because they all made puts. And what happened was they betted against the market. And
it's not doing
and that. It went up. You know, some dude posted today about making, he said he started with 36. His little picture showed 144,000. He said he started with 36,000. And he's gone up to like 560,000. On Amazon, because in the past 2 weeks, no one's able to go anywhere, no one's able to do anything.
Yeah, so Amazon stock went up,
yeah, dude, Twitch going off, like all those Amazon companies. I think Amazon is streaming like the South by Film Festival. Yeah. They're streaming movies now that are supposed to be in theaters, and I read an article about Jeff Bezos making like $26 billion off this shit. So I was like, oh my god, like this is crazy stuff. So I would love to be in the position to buy stocks if it ever falls down, but I don't think that the current administration or how things are set up are gonna let it sink. Like they will. If they do, it's going to be like, we've tried to pump it with so much money, it's falling and we can't help it. It's like, it's Urkel, you know? So, the market Urkel. What if that becomes a phrase? I'm going to laugh. I'm not going to laugh because I'll be out on my ass, but I'm going to laugh, right? So, like, that is just, I think, I wish it would happen, and I would be in a position to do well for myself, I think. But I don't think it's going to happen. I hope it doesn't happen because you're going to see a lot more turmoil, you know? So, yeah, I think, you know, that stuff's it's just crazy. So,
I mean, this whole thing's crazy. Yeah. Just makes people think about what's important, stuff like that. And I don't know. You know, for me, in my free time, I just read all this stuff and start watching stuff. And, you know, my thing is I always keep an open mind. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I've always been a person that's always been open-minded in general, just because, like, to say that something is completely false or is not possible, you're fooling yourself. And it's always just entertaining to think, like, to see, like, different viewpoints. So, like, I used to, like, really think that, like, when Trump got elected, I was like, man, this is awful. Like, I don't like him, like, whatever. But over time, when I started looking at stuff, like, the reality of, like, unbiased media and stuff, like, really, like, if you take away his personality and all the stuff he's done, like, really, he hasn't been that bad for the country, period. If you rate him on what he's actually done, not bad. Now, if you bring in, like, his persona and everything like that, obviously you could point the finger at all this stuff. But, I mean, so then my opinion of that changes because I look at, you know, unbiasedly, like, what's really going on here. Just because it was so weird to see people hate on it so much. And then, like, it's weird when you see, like, media just always talking crap about him. It's like, why is that? You know, I already don't trust media. So, like, if you're always rubbing his name through the dirt, why? So, like, and that goes for anything, you know? You know, I like Alex Jones. Whether some of the stuff he says is not true or he is crazy.
Entertaining, dude.
I don't care. Like, I like to look up some of the stuff. And even though his theatrics proves that he is crazy a little bit, some of the stuff he says is not dishonest. You know? If you want to talk about Sandy Hook and stuff like that, obviously that's, like, not right, what he did. And he admits that he was wrong. But if you look at some of the other stuff that he said and you look into it, you know, there's actual... This is, like, the one I looked up because, you know, people like to say that Alex Jones is crazy, you know, he's a piece of shit because he said that those kids didn't really die. It's like, yeah, he did something wrong, but that doesn't make everything... That's like saying Einstein, you know, all his theories about stuff is not true because he said something mean and ruined someone's life or something like that. You know, no, not necessarily. Like, all of his other stuff could still be true. And he always says, like, the frogs are gay. It's like a meme. They're turning the frogs gay. And if you look it up, there's actually, like, an Ivy League school that put out a study, like Stanford or something like that, that put out a study that said that there was a chemical that was coming. They would put it that was leaking into pond water and turning female frogs into male frogs. And then it was turning them gay because then they were mating with males and then they would only make male offspring. Now, what he's saying that they're turning the frogs gay wrong? No. Are they actually gay? No.
Because they were chicks, right? Like,
yeah,
just trans frogs.
But they were just the chemical was forcing them to change their gender.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's interesting.
And when you look that up and it's from a verified source, that's like an Ivy League school with real studies, with everything you need to see, you're like, okay, he might be crazy. That doesn't mean everything he's saying is wrong. I'm not saying that I'm a fan. I listen to him every day, but you can't discredit someone just because they're painted in a certain picture.
Or who they are. So I'm glad you brought this up because, one, there's a band called Consider the Source. I think y'all should check it out. So Consider the Source. But so, you know, like saying how this, you know, the source and like Alex Jones also talked about like the was it the Epstein stuff, like the child sex ring and all that stuff, or pedophile ring or whatever. So with like the Me Too movement and all that stuff too, you know, one of the first people to bring that to light was like Courtney Love, I think, and no one paid her mind for some reason, right? Because she set out at like some, was it MTV or VH1 or something, and she was like, you need to watch out for Weinstein or something like that, Harvey, like something like that. But people just brushed her off. And then same thing with Barbara Walters on what's his face, the oh man, he's gone off the deep end. It's the guy, he's got like a dubstep thing now, or Bad Angel Band, I don't know, but she basically said you're gonna ruin him if you keep spreading this word about like the whole pedophile thing too. So like Alex Jones might say something, so like on that entertainment side, like he might say something, but given the source that he is, like people aren't gonna take that seriously, right? Or like they might not. Like his fans will. They'll be like, "Oh my god, dude, Alex Jones on something like that." But like they're not gonna be like, "Oh, okay," you know, like this is definitely like truth or fact. Same thing with. I wish I can remember that guy's name, but like. Same thing with Courtney Love coming and saying, like, you gotta watch out for Weinstein or whatever she said. Like, everybody was just like, man, okay. And then, like...
Fast forward to today.
Yeah. Like, a year or two, however long ago that was, like, oh, dang. And then now he's, like, in jail or whatever.
Yeah.
So, and that's pretty crazy, like sourcing stuff and going, making sure like statements and all that are correct. Like I think that's just something that needs to be done as well. So, yeah, man. Other than that, have you watched any good movies?
No, not really. I don't really, because I watch my daughter most of the day. Don't really get a lot of time to watch stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like spurts. So, I mean, I try to watch a couple, like these 2 movies the other day. I got like halfway through each of them, and they didn't really get my attention that much. Mm-hmm. So, I did watch Tiger King, which was pretty good in my opinion.
Oh my god, dude! They murdered Carol Baskins on that show. Like,
I think she's guilty.
Oh, come on!
Joking me?
Come on, dude. No.
You think she's innocent?
I think they painted her in a bad light.
I don't think they painted anybody in a good light.
Oh no, everybody's painted like. I didn't think that was reality, bro. My friend, they went to that place. Like my wife was like, "Hey, didn't y'all go to this place?" And they're like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Oh my god, this is real."
Yeah.
Like I was like, "Holy!" Like this is like. To me, that is amazing how, like, that's real life. Like people are that extreme. So, yeah, but. Jesus, that's a good one to watch though.
It's entertaining. You know? I don't think anybody was. The thing is, like this, people. I think Carol did it, in my opinion. But I don't think anybody in the documentary was painted in a good light. I think everybody looked bad. Joe looked bad.
Oh, yeah.
Jeff Lowe looked bad.
Mm-hmm.
Doc Antle, who nothing happened to, looked bad because he looked like some kind of freak. I don't know, with a compound. He looked like Charles Manson, but or some shit.
I think the only person that didn't look bad was the guy who made the reality TV show.
Yes, like he seems like he got ripped off.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, dude. That's funny.
But what else have I seen? I've been watching Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I've watched. I think it's like the first season of that.
Have you seen Goodfellas?
Oh yeah.
We watched that the other night because Cassidy hadn't seen it.
What? That's a good one.
Yeah. But besides that, I haven't really seen any movies. Oh wait. I saw Knives Out. I can't remember. I don't even remember the last good movie I really saw.
So we watched Lighthouse. The Lighthouse.
It's on Amazon, I heard.
Is it?
I need to watch it.
Okay,
Is it good?
Yeah, I liked it. My wife was like, what did we just watch? And I was like, dude, it's just like, I thought it was a great movie. Apparently, it's full of like homoerotic euphemisms or whatever. And I was like, what? Like after watching it, I read the Wikipedia thing and I was like, that makes sense. And there's like a scene in there that it makes some sense. But like, I thought it was a good story to tell. I thought it was a different movie. I love the fact that it's black and white. Like, I thought that was pretty good. I thought like the lighting in there, like the whole photography aspect of it was just amazing, you know. But I like the story, and I think it's along the lines, not quite as like a mind trip as Midsummer, but it's like pretty like, wait, what, you know, when they start talking.
The thing that trips me out about Midsummer the most is I imagine that somehow it's real.
Oh, dude, there's got to be some, like, maybe those ayahuasca cults, too, or something like that.
I imagine that and that's what I always think about movies, is, like, movies come from truth somehow. Mm-hmm. Like, somehow. Even Hereditary, his first movie, Ari's first movie,
yeah.
I imagine that there's some truth to that movie, too. Like, there's probably some weird cult where they worship some demon or some shit.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, I imagine... And that's what always trips me out, because like you like to think that Hollywood is not real, but like in reality, I think reality's stranger than fiction, really.
Oh heck yeah, dude! There's some crazy stuff out there, but Yeah, if you get a chance to watch The Lighthouse, let me know how you like it.
I'll watch it for sure.
I thought it was really interesting. I love like I said, the photography, the cinematography in it. I enjoyed the story. Sometimes I had to rewind to like understand what they like fully said, but yeah. So see if you can find the homoerotic euphemisms, So yeah.
All right. Well, it was good to have you. Thanks for coming on my podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for letting me ramble with you.
Yeah. It's a work in progress. I hope to get better at this. I know that the sound sometimes is an issue, but we're working on that. But yeah, thanks for coming on. You have anything to plug or say or final words?
No, not really. I just look forward to getting back to like actually working. I guess I'll plug that. Like, hey, let's work.
I agree with you there.
Some sort of like this new normal isn't so cool, but I will say that I enjoy spending time with my family right now. I think that's probably like the coolest thing.
Yeah.
Me and my wife got to spend a lot of good time together. So I'm surprised we're not at each other's throats. So I guess that's a good thing, right?
Yep.
But yeah, man, I hope that this goes on. You get some more people, and then hopefully I can come back on. We can talk about some more, whatever.
Of course, anytime. Thank you.
Thank you.
Till next time.